Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Superman issue 38, written by Joshua Williamson, with art by Dan Mora, colours by Alejandro Sanchez, and letters by Ariana Maher. Superboy's tenure as the hero of Metropolis continues as he locks up the comic shop for the day, reminding a buyer that he's got to read the actual comics, not just the solicit copy, since that won't tell him anything. And this is probably advice comic Twitter should listen to as well. Prime heads home, wondering if he should have asked the other guys if they want to hang out, since he wants a social life. However, he's unsure if he has any time. He wonders what Superman would do as he hears a scream as in a nearby alleyway, the woman who hit on him last issue is attacked by the Monster Squad. Prime springs into action almost immediately, and the woman reveals this is all just a trap, and she was really the hero Witchfire, who traps Prime in a cage made of flames. Witchfire conjures a spell wanting to trap Prime's soul and heart of gold. The flames burn through his clothes, revealing his supersuit, which surprises Witchfire, since it means he's a hero, not just some random comic nerd like she thought. So, as I assumed, magic doesn't actually harm Prime, since technically he is not Kryptonian, and I'm really glad for it. I'm glad they're not going the route where, he's weak to magic, so he's kind of always on the back foot during a magical story. He can't really do anything, but no, Prime now is not allergic to magic, he's not weak to it, so he's able to actually still fight at full capacity, which is really interesting. Again, it's a new swerve in the storyline where you would think it would go down the weakness route, but it's not. It's going to something we haven't seen with Superman, and even having Superman fighting against and with another magical being is something we seldom get, and I'm always excited when we get it. Also, side note here, I really like when a costume is revealed under clothing, like burned off clothing, and you see part of the costume. And I really like what we see of Prime's costume here, where he doesn't have the silly gauntlets or the shoulder pads. He's just got like a base super suit with no cape, and it looks really good. It's a really good look for him. It's got the symbol, the black backed Kryptonian symbol on his chest. Looks really cool, and I kind of wish he would go for that look rather than the actual big pauldrons and gauntlets. Prime recognizes Witchfire as part of the power company and guesses she's a villain now, but Witchfire doesn't think she's much of a villain. She just needs a nice, innocent person for one of her spells. Prime scoffs at the idea of him being innocent, since he's anything but, thinking of the various peoples he's killed. He tells Witchfire he's on a bit of a redemption arc right now, and Witchfire doesn't really care, knowing that he's of no use to her, so she just decides to leave, flying off into the sky. So we really are seeing lots of changes for Prime here just with this interaction with Witchfire, since he's immediately not jumping to action, he's immediately not trying to like hurt her, punch her, get into some violence with her. He's trying to talk with her, something, Superman would do. He's trying to figure out like why she's doing this. And then also with his Wikipedia knowledge of who Witchfire is, he knows that she was a good guy. So like, why is she now doing something that's, very villainous? He wants to figure that out, and I quite like that. It's a neat way to show that he's trying to live up to the Superman ideals. Prime asks her about the spell and learns from Witchfire as they fly into the sky that her coven sense dark magic in Metropolis, and someone is planning to unleash a demon at midnight, and she thought she could stop it with a sacrificial bait spell. Prime asks about the demon, and later, after a goth makeover, Witchfire takes him to the Hellhole, an alt club in Metropolis. Superboy Prime dressed as a goth is going to do something to someone out there, and they are not ready for it. But I love it. I love Prime going on an adventure that requires disguises, him trying to keep a low profile because you can't just have a super being just bust into this club. It's really cool. I like it. It kind of reminds me of like, maybe Clark has to go on an investigative journalist mission and he's got to go undercover or something. So you kind of borrowing aspects from that part of Clark's life and adapting them to fit with Prime really well. Prime asks why they are dressed like they are in a Vertigo comic, but all Witchfire will say is they have to be sneaky since they need to get close to whoever is messing with this dark magic. Prime and Witchfire also finally introduce themselves to each other properly, with Prime going by Prime and Witchfire wanting to be called Rebecca. Rebecca reveals that she found an old spell book as a kid and used it to help out in her life, and then become a superhero after she met Wonder Woman. She knows magic has been broken and reality has rewritten itself countless times, leading to her either being dead or being reborn. But no matter what, she's always found a way back to her magic and to her life. Prime ends up relating to Rebecca because of that, because they've both either been alive or dead countless times, but the witch wants to get on with their mission. While moving through the dance floor, Prime ends up running right into Jimmy Olsen, who's carving up the dance floor with his moves, and Prime quickly excuses himself since Jimmy begins to recognize him, and the heroes make their way towards a back door in the club, which Witchfire finds is radiating demon magic. Prime having a brief run-in with Jimmy is quite fun, and that's got to lead to something, maybe Jimmy is now on Prime's trail trying to figure out who he is and what his deal is. I could see that being his next big thing, because again, he tried to do that with Superwoman as well, so maybe he's going to try to do that as well with Prime here and lead to him getting into some sort of danger. Prime's got to save him, maybe even team up with him. I feel like that's Williamson setting up something a little later on down the line. As the heroes head through the white door, they find themselves in a dark dungeon. While heading down the cobbled steps, Witchfire asks if Prime has a girlfriend and makes Prime remember Laurie Lemon, his old girlfriend, but he knows that was a long time ago and they broke up. He knows that sometimes people of this world lock into relationships forever, and that doesn't happen where he's from. He is happy for Laurie though, and they still keep in touch. Man, Laurie Lemon is a character I have not heard in like a decade, like so long ago, and it's cool seeing Prime still caring for her after all these years and wants what's best for her. And again, it feels like another part of Prime's ongoing development where, he's reminiscing about Laurie, and none of his thoughts are like of jealousy or, that she's with someone else or anything like that. He doesn't have that possessive tinge to it all. He's like kind of fondly remembering what they had, and I take that as him moving on, him having that development like that he's had recently where he's kind of calmed down, and it's him realizing that yeah, that's just life. And I kind of like that. I like that Williamson is peppering all these little things in to show that Prime is moving on as a character. He is developing. The duo's chat is interrupted by Witchfire's coven, who think that Rebecca's sacrifice doesn't look so innocent. The other witch doesn't think that they have time to fight, they need to keep moving. Rebecca introduces them as Enchantadora and Mirabai as things begin getting a little topsy-turvy, and Prime becomes dizzy from the literal comic panels turning upside down. This is the first of many in this issue where Dan Mora gets to flex his creative muscles, since you actually have to turn the book upside down to actually read it properly, because it looks like, the page has been put out of print backwards and upside down, and I love that, and I love that it's referenced in the panel as well by Superboy Prime, with him becoming dizzy of trying to actually read all of it. And it's such a really creative, fun thing to do. I love when you're allowed to get like physical with the comic and you have to turn it and do something. Absolute Martian Manhunter does this a number of times throughout its run, and it's always really fun just to get a physical comic and actually be able to play with the pages, fold them, all that sort of stuff that you should be doing with a physical comic. The witches know that the dizziness is caused by the dark magic, and Prime wonders if the recent weird visions he's been having is because of said magic. The Coven quiet Prime as they round the corner and find who the dark magic belongs to, as Lady Blaze and Lord Satanas have begun summoning all of their demons. I love all of the demon stuff here that Dan Mora does in this double page spread. There's some weird, gross looking creatures here, and I love that it's just not, red devil-like demons or black-eyed possessed people demons. It's proper berserk level gross demons. The Coven think that the brother and sister villain duo aren't happy Neron is now in charge of Hell, and are looking to move shop into Metropolis, especially now that Superman is gone. Witchfire asks Prime to take out the demons while she focuses on the spell, and the hero is allowed to let loose on them, smashing and ripping demons apart left and right. This is a pretty smart way to let Prime let loose and give the fans who want that sort of stuff and only think that Prime should do that sort of stuff what they want. It's good killing demons, it's fine, that's kind of like that gray area where they're not human, they're not really sentient, they're just like bad, weird things that you can kill and they'll just be sent back to hell. So technically they don't really die. It also means Mora can go a little bit ham with the viscera and the gore because it's all green and gooey and all that sort of stuff. It's not red. Witchfire notices that Prime is enjoying this, and the hero notes how he never gets to cut loose nowadays. Lord Satanas and Lady Blaze tell the heroes that they won't stop their takeover of Metropolis, and while they monologue, the witches begin their spell, with Witchfire turning her powers up to 11 to power the spell with the power of pain and suffering, transforming herself into a fiery angel-like being with what she calls the wings of wonder. The spell traps the villainous twins, burning them away and back to hell. I really like that this plot really relied on Prime's strengths, literally, in that he was used as the heavy of sorts. He was sent out to smash the demons, keep them occupied, while someone smarter, in this case Witchfire and her coven, defeat the villains at their own game. I also feel like this is also a soft launch of Witchfire to stick around in the book and maybe be, a partner to Prime, maybe, show him the ropes of this world, if so to speak. And I also think there's hints that maybe there's going to be some sort of romantic thing going on between her and Prime, which is really fun because it's been a while since we've had a Superman character who actually has a romantic plot. They tried to do it with John a couple of times, but it always just fizzled out because the writer either just was not interested in writing that sort of stuff, or an event took over the book or something. But I like that we have a Superman now who is, for all intents and purposes, single, and he can have romantic flings with characters like Witchfire and whoever else might show up. I think it's an interesting way to take the book, and again, it's something we haven't seen in a while, so it feels new and refreshing. The fiery spell explodes and Witchfire returns to her normal, less fiery form, much to the awe of Prime, who quickly grabs Rebecca as all of the demons begin being sucked back through a black hole to hell. The Coven escape through their own portal and wish Rebecca luck on her date, and before she can correct them, Prime and Witchfire are blasted back out onto the Metropolis streets. Prime thought that was a rather fun adventure, thanking Rebecca for letting him tag along. She wonders if this really was a date though, intending on kissing Prime, but he begins talking gibberish, his words coming out a garbled mess. Witchfire has no idea what's going on and can't tell if this is a spell or something else, as she finds Prime's aura has been manipulated by something. Before we and Witchfire get any answers, Prime is literally yanked right back out of the book. Literally, he is pulled right through the page of the book, leaving a big white hole in it. Now, it's at this point that the book deploys a really freaking cool fourth wall break as Prime falls through a house ad for Kenny Porter's upcoming Superman Father of Tomorrow, which actually has a proper ad at the back of this issue. And this is also a book that I'll be doing a review on a little later on in the week. Prime then falls onto Dan Mora's blank interior page, complete with Mora's own post-it notes about what he's got coming up, what he's got to do, and it's a nice little ad for his fantastic work and where you can see it next. Prime manages to right himself as a voice says that he should have been able to get into Prime's head earlier, but because of Lex Luthor, he's not at full power anymore, so he needed time to push and prod and pick at the right parts of Prime's brain. Prime begins talking normally again, trying to figure out what's going on as he falls further down the page paneling, told by the voice that while Prime's mind is strong, he is stronger and he knows him inside and out and all his dirty little secrets. Prime is soon confronted by the now fully formed Manchester Black, who understands that they both know the world should be something different and more like the world Prime comes from. So he's going to have Prime help him change the world into something better and give him his old life back. Manchester being Prime's first big villain is such a cool idea since, as I said before, it's kind of them doing a second run at what's so funny about truth, justice, and the American way. This time with Superboy Prime, who Black could probably break. Prime obviously knows who Manchester Black is, thinking that he was a good guy now since he helped Superman back during Warworld Saga. But Manchester reveals that in doing that, it also led to him being in his current ghost zombie state, and because of that, he wants to punch reality as hard as he can and make it something else. Prime knows doing that is too dangerous right now, trying to attack Manchester with his heat vision, but it just blows right through him like he's made of smoke. Manchester, though, can kick Prime down, thinking that Prime has been made soft by Superman, and maybe it's time to take a stroll down memory lane to remind him of who Superboy Prime really is deep down. Manchester then talks directly to us, knowing full well we want the nostalgia slop, so that's what we're going to get. I really love Manchester being able to break the fourth wall now, but I hope Williamson uses it sparingly and tactfully, since just from this first one I could see it being used as a put down on the audience, sort of, not like, for better lack of a word, put down, or making snide comments to the audience. Obviously I know Williamson won't actually use it like that, but I could see it maybe being thought of as like that, especially because he's talking about here where Manchester says that he knows the audience want the nostalgia slop and that's all they want, which is true as per some of the comments on my recent videos about this series, some of which cited they just want Superboy Prime to cut loose again, be insane, and kill people, and just do everything he did during Infinite Crisis and all of those events without any actual character development. They don't like the change happening. Prime is suddenly teleported out into a field, back in his old Superboy costume. He's not alone though, as practically every character involved in Infinite Crisis bears down on him, intending on killing Superboy for what he has done to them. Superman issue 38 was another fun Superboy Prime adventure, which utilized him to his strengths really well, which he's very good at ripping apart demons while smarter characters work on the actual meat of the plot. Witchfire is a cool partner and foil to Prime. I like the dynamic they're going for there, and I like the tease of a possible romantic plotline for Prime to sink his teeth into in the coming issues. That sounds like a really fun thing to do, especially because it's been a while since we've had a mainline Superman character actually be single and actually dabbling in a romantic life for himself. It's been a while since we've had that, and I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with it because it makes the book feel a bit more fresher and fun and creative, something we haven't had in a while, so I'm really looking forward to that. The final few pages with Dan Morrow just kind of going ham on the art and the fourth wall break he did, which was just fantastic. It's one of the best uses of the fourth wall break I've seen done so far, and I love when an artist can get creative with their art, and he didn't disappoint in that regard, so I'm really looking forward to seeing if he continues that in the next issue. I'm going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10.